Hey there, and welcome to another episode of One Email Two Takes, the weekly sales hackers show, where myself, Will Allred, and Christina Fenseth take emails either submitted by y'all or submitted to us via our inbox, and we provide our perspective on that email, but also our two takes on how we would rewrite that note. Now, in case you're a first timer and you've yet to come along, I'm Will Allred. I'm one of the founders at a company called Lavender. It's a Chrome extension that helps thousands of sellers write better emails faster. And yes, so we have a lot of data on emails. And so I get to share some of that and mix that in with my perspective on email writing. Now, my colleague, Christina Fenseth here, is an advisor with Lavender, but I'll let her introduce herself, of course.
Yes. You always steal my advisor thunder. Dang it. Yes, I'm an advisor to Lavender. Obviously, I have a soft spot for Lavender as a product and as a team. But I also am a senior manager of outbound growth marketing for a company called Greenhouse, which is a hiring platform. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. I've obviously had my fair share of emails too. And I feel like, Will, I'm not even going to joke with you. Ever since we got acquired by Greenhouse last year, I swear the amount of sales emails I receive has like tripled, maybe even arguably quadrupled. So I have a folder for them.
It's perfect. Yeah, and I gotta steal that advisor thunder because I'm the one who's grateful for it.
Dang it. Always taking it.
So this week you brought an email, and it's, as we put in the title of it, it's not too shabby. I originally saw it and I was like, wait, did you send me a good email?
Yeah, and arguably when I look at my rewrite, I might like this better. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that it was horrible. In fact, at first read, I was like, all right, this is not too shabby, which is why we titled it Not Too Shabby. But yeah, let me read it out loud and see how it lands with you. So the subject line is Greenhouse Case Study. Hi, Christina. I was checking out one of Greenhouse's case studies. It was really cool to read about how the MLB was able to attract the best and highest quality talent while using Greenhouse. While going through the case study and some of your other downloadable content assets, I noticed they were all in PDF format. I can imagine how hard it must be to stand out and frustrating having no clue how your content is tracking. Would you be interested in learning how company can help Greenhouse create engaging and interactive content? ? There was no sign off. It just immediately was like the person's name. And
Like the signature line?
Nope, it was just the signature block started. So there's no like cheers, best regards. It's just like signature block. And it's crazy because like I know you're gonna have things to say about this. It's overall actually not bad. But I feel like it can be condensed a little bit, maybe. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it.
The easiest data point to point to is the fact that it's actually personalized means it's twice as likely to get a reply, right? So like that's a no-brainer. Yeah, there's some other nuances in the data. Like I was looking at, of course, I ran it through our own product, but like there's two things that stood out. One was the length. It's still kind of long compared to what we see in our best practice data. So it's around like 97 words, which I don't have like the direct comparison between 97 and what's the best practice. But I know if you go from about 125 words to 25 to 50, you see about 65% more replies. So like it's an easy opportunity where shortening that email up can actually generate more response. The other one that I was looking at was the complexity of the writing. You'll notice a lot of these are long sentences. So like this one here, and that just hurts the ability for people to read it and understand it quickly. So it's written at about an 11th grade reading level, and taking that down to a 5th grade reading level should boost response rates by over 50%. Those are like two easy things that I saw.
Yeah. Well, and I had a hard time with I had to read it to myself a few times, that I can imagine sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Because grammatically I was like, wait, huh, and frustrate what? It was kind of hard for me. That sentence didn't flow for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Because it's two thoughts, and
yeah, but I'll tell
every
you
sentence
what,
should be a single thought.
the subject line got me to open because clearly it was about a case study, right? So how do I know they're not giving feedback that like there's something up with this case study or whatever? So yep, got me to open. And then the first line, because it was personalized enough, I was
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, cool. They took the time to take a look at this case study. They synthesized it down to this main point. It's hooked me, right? It's hooked me to at least read and invest my time into what else they have here. It wasn't enough for me to reply or like take an action, but I
Yeah.
will tell you that there were some really good moments.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I want to see how you rewrote it.
Oh gosh, I don't know how if I like it anymore. I kind of want to rewrite my rewrite, but
I love the subject line. So,
yes. So I've been playing around with this a lot in like text, even like in like when I'm following up with someone internally here at Greenhouse, I'll sometimes say like, hey, I'm reaching out blah blah blah, right? And I use it as kind of like an interrupt, right? So I thought, let me try this in the subject line. So I just said question re MLB case study, right? So like I have a question about it. Hi, Christina, downloaded a case study from Greenhouse's site, and it looks like most of your assets are in PDF format. I'm curious if you have any trouble tracking content performance, dot, dot, dot. I was going to make this a question, and then I was like, shoot, I don't want to have two questions because I know what Will has shared about two questions. So it's like,
hurts
all
your
right, I'm gonna
feelings.
make this something different. And then I did do like a statement about where we fit in. I thought about leaving it there. And just say, I'm curious if you have any trouble tracking content performance question mark. But I was like, it's missing something. So company not only helps you create engaging non-PDF and interactive content, we also help you measure performance to make your next piece of content even better, open to exploring. So I at least tried to tie in the relevancy there of like why the hell it should matter that I'm reaching out to you, right? But anyway, that's my rewrite.
I like it. I took a slightly different take, but I think like this here, like I would open it, I would read it, I would understand why you reached out to me. And like the first question I would ask is like, cool, what is it? Right? Like
Yep.
it at least would generate response. It'd be because like it doesn't necessarily give me like a perfect picture of what it is. So it almost creates like an information vacuum, which is something I'm particularly fond of when it comes to a cold email. And that like that vacuum kind of pulls you in to like ask one more question about it. Gives you some, and so like it gives you a little bit of satisfaction on like what this is, but it doesn't answer every question.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's okay. Well, you can tell me you'd put it in your like folder in Gmail and like archive it away. But yeah, this one was a little challenging because I really do think the first email wasn't that bad. So aside from length and complexity of sentence structure, it really
It's just
hard
like
to
such a
rewrite this
nuanced
one.
thing to it's such a
Like,
nuanced thing to nitpick.
why did I choose this email again? To challenge our minds.
Yes. Well, and that's actually the approach that I took with it.
Yeah.
So you gave me a good email, and I was like, all right, how can I write this differently? And so I included a PS, but I also just like threw the greeting into the middle of the email instead of starting it at the top. I don't know. I was like, every email starts with a greeting,
Ooh.
so why don't I just do this like slightly differently? Um, and so like one of the things you recognize from the first line is it's clearly stating something about your case study. And so it's still clearly written to you. And then the next line showcases that again. So I'll read it out loud. Subject, the MLB case study. I was checking out Greenhouse's MLB case study. Christina, I was a bit surprised to see an org as big as y'all still using PDFs. Is the team interested in tracking behavior beyond the click? Well, PS, you've got a lot of case studies. We can transfer them into trackable links in less than a day. And so what I'm doing with the PS here, I want to call it out, is I'm basically alluding to the fact that like you'll have a sense of what we do from my signature line. I'm sure of it because it'll probably have like some sort of like tagline, something along those lines. And so like you'd be like, okay, I kind of have a feel for what this company does. And so instead of like letting the status quo of like, it sounds like whatever you're going to offer is a lot of work, I decided to just like handle an objection up front with a PS. That was my take on it. I decided to go super short. And so I mentioned the taking it down to 50 words and reduced it down to a fifth grade reading level.
I love this so much, like winner, winner, chicken dinner here with this week's rewrite, because first of all, like you never see someone putting like the first name personalization and crap in a second sentence. Like it just doesn't happen. And so that right there, I'm like, oh, that's different. And then I'm like, oh, and you're doing it and hitting me with an insult, but it's cool. But then I see what you're doing with the PS too, because you are kind of alluding to the fact that like, I'm already thinking in my head, yeah, I know we use a lot of PDFs, but do you know we have hundreds of them? Like, I'm not changing it. Like, yeah, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But then when you put that PS in there, like you said, it's kind of countering a thought, like a thought objection that might not even surface in a reply because I'm thinking it, but we're not there yet. Now I'm like, oh, wait, in less than a day, what does that look like? Now you've got me curious. You've hooked me. I'm going to use that word more often. Hook. You've hooked me. I like this one.
Yeah. So I'm a bit surprised to see y'all still using PDFs. The thought process there is Doug Landis over at Emergence Capital. He wrote about this, I want to say it was in Forbes, where he was talking about like selling into the enterprise. And if you're approaching a large enterprise organization, you should probably have an opinion about their business and the way that they're doing it. And so one of the things I've figured out from writing a bunch of emails is one of the things that really stands out is using this charged language. I was surprised to see this. Yeah, this kind of shocked me. Because what it does is, back to the hook, it keeps the reader engaged as they're reading that email. And so it's not necessarily a hook to say like, got you to open or got you to respond, but it's a hook to keep you interested in what's coming next. So that was sort of how I approached it.
Well, it also made me think, and not to beat this sentence with a dead horse because I love it, but it made me think, wait, what other orgs as big as us, what are they doing? Like you're telling, because it makes me, it just implies that like, with certainty that other orgs of our size are not doing that. So anyway.
That's true. I didn't even think of that.
You seriously, hands down, you did the best rewrite. I loved that so much. In fact, I think I'm going to use it as an example for an upcoming webinar I have. So thank you.
Look at that. Look at that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of One Email, Two Takes with myself and Will. In order to get this, you can subscribe to the Sales Hacker newsletter. It comes every Tuesday straight to your inbox, or you can just check out the Sales Hacker YouTube channel. I think approaching 40 of our episodes are on there.
I know, approaching 40.
Yeah, and if you have an email, don't be shy. We're not always tearing them down so heavily. It just depends.
Yeah, I mean, this one, we really liked it. So
yeah, no promises though. Sometimes we can be a little harsh, but yeah.
That's the fun part of it.
It's the fun part of it. But all right, thanks for tuning in, y'all.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.